Good morning and welcome back to Sherburne Public Library's Book Talk. This week, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, we're doing Irish authors. So we've each got a few to talk about, and I think Michael's going to go first.
Well, I'm going to start off with Patrick Taylor and his book series. Although on the cover it says the beloved Canadian bestseller, he is considered Irish Canadian. He was a doctor himself, and his series of books, The Irish Doctor, The Irish Village, let's see, they're all in here. An Irish Country Doctor, An Irish Country Village, An Irish Country Christmas, An Irish Country Girl, An Irish Country Courtship, A Dublin Student Doctor, An Irish Country Wedding. And I believe there's a new one out too that I'd have to look up the title for. But anyway, basically they're about two doctors, an older doctor who was nearing retirement and so is looking for somebody basically to take over for him in the town of, I'm not sure, no, it's a different town than what we talk about in here. But anyway, Ballybuckleboo, which is in Northern Ireland. And it's mainly about those two, plus their, I guess she's like a maid, but she's a housekeeper is really what she is, the housekeeper. The Irish Country Girl is about her. And I'll be honest, when I first thought I was reading this, I thought it was going to be about the young doctor's girlfriend. And it ended up being about Kinky, who's great. She's like basically a grandmother figure because she's in her 50s and 60s. And she gets these insights, part of the Irish fae, as they call it, the Irish, I don't want to say superstitions, the Irish beliefs combined, I mean, because she's a good church woman as well, but she also has, believes in the fae spirits and the ghosts and such. And so this story is about her growing up. So you find out about her fae experiences. And it's really neat because it does get, so I don't want to say fantasy, but she encounters the St. Patrick's Day ghost twice, not once, or no, I'm sorry, not St. Patrick, St. Stephen's Day ghost. And they call him the Thevshi, if I could pronounce it right. And that happens on Boxing Days, whatever, I should know what those are, but I can't. The day after Christmas, okay. But anyway, she often speaks of the Dub Siddha, the Dovshi, the Dark Fairies, and the Banshees. So all the Irish folklore, I guess is a better way of calling it. So it's just neat. It's about her story. And how she got to basically through her getting married, per se. In the other book, she's not married any longer. Well, no, I gotta look. I have to look it up. It's been a while. But she spends most of her time at the house, so it feels like she's not actually married between church and taking care of the two doctors. And one of the reasons that I really do like the books in general is they're not stressful. They're more relaxing to read. I mean, yes, there are some things that happen, bad things and sad things, but it's not stressful. It's just the way he tells the story. I mean, there is a climax, usually something important that they're, trying to fix. Because besides being doctors, he's also, he's like a pseudo mayor as well, although he's not the mayor, because there is a mayor and they sometimes buck heads. But it's just fun. And some other, like, he has a great dog and a cat, and the cat gets spooked too, and it's fun. The relationship between the doctors and Kinky keeps them both in line, of course. Again, like I said, she's one of those grandmothers who's very loving, very food oriented. In fact, she has a cookbook too. I think it's at the back of this book. There's a cookbook somewhere where she has her own recipes. And so some Irish recipes. But she also doesn't let you get away with anything. She's one of those ladies. So it's a lot of fun to read. I enjoy reading them, and I need to catch up. Like I said, there's a new one out there, I believe, or a newer one that's not listed here that I need to catch up on and read. So that's An Irish Country Girl by Patrick Taylor.
Those are very popular, I know, in our library. I think they are, like you said, they're relaxing. I think they're just a nice, gentle read. You know, there's not, like you said, there's not huge amounts of drama. I mean, things happen, but it's not violence and horrifying things. It's just a gentle read, which is nice.
Another thing, real quick, is I was just thinking was, especially in this one, they have she uses a lot of Irish phrases, and like they got it, what it means later on, a glossary later on.
Yeah.
But it's neat to hear those and try to hear them in your head.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, they have been really popular. I think we have the whole series in large print. And the newest is An Irish Country Welcome. But there is going to be, coming up later this year, the first Christmas book, An Irish Country Yuletide. So that'll be exciting.
Oh, that's great.
I think that's like the 16th in the series that will be coming out this year. So
wow.
Yeah.
He's pretty prolific. But that's great. It's nice when you have a series like that. You can follow characters for so long. It's always such a great thing when you're a reader to have a series that you love like that. Okay, so I will go on to mine. I decided to do children's books. So I've got a couple Irish themed children's books. The first one is called The Wee Christmas Cabin. Now I know that's kind of out of, it's not St. Patrick's Day, it's Christmas. But this is an Irish, it's based on an Irish folk tale. Let me see if I can find the name of that folk tale. It's a classic holiday tale by Ruth Taylor called The Wee Christmas Cabin of Carnaween. I think that's how you say it. So the story is about this. A baby is dropped. The fairies drop a baby off at a little tinker's house. A couple, a husband and wife, and so they raise her, and her name is Una, and she grows up into this beautiful, kind-hearted woman. She doesn't ever marry, and so eventually she moves on. She moves out of the house because the house goes to her brother or something. And so she moves on, and then she does all sorts of kind things for people. She goes from house to house. She helps people out. The great famine strikes, and she cooks for people and does what she can with what she has. So she kind of just travels alone in doing this. But she always wishes for a cabin of her own. So finally, when she gets really old, one winter, she falls asleep in the woods, and the snow covers her, and the fairies appear. And they have built her this little cabin. And so she gets to live in this little cabin, just like she had wished for. But it's one of those things with the Irish folklore where the cabin only appears when there's a white Christmas. So you can't find it during the year normally, but on a white Christmas, you can find it. So it's just a really wonderful little tale, and it's told really beautifully. They use the traditional Irish phrases and again the words and names that I don't pronounce very well because I'm not Irish and I don't know Gaelic or anything. But it's a really, really beautiful little tale. And so I think anybody would enjoy this, and just you don't have to wait till Christmas to read it. I think you could read it at any time. So we have this at our library. It probably is in the Christmas section, maybe. But, you can just ask Mr. Mike, and I'm sure he can find it for you. The other one I wanted to talk about is Tales from Old Ireland. And this is by Malachi Doyle. He is originally from Belfast, and this is a collection of traditional Irish folk tales. the oral tradition of telling tales is really big in Ireland. In fact, I didn't realize that, but in the 30s, the Irish Folklore Commission was set up. And so it's a way of preserving all of their folklore, which I think is wonderful. I mean, what a cool thing. And in the beginning of it, there's a whole, talk about pronunciation, there's a whole pronunciation guide here, which is very helpful, when you're looking at some of these. I was interested, one word caught my eye, Tirnanog. When we were taking my child to university in Canada, of course, there's a lot of Irish tradition in Canada, or English and Irish tradition, and there's a pub there called the Tirnanog. So I was like, oh, what is that? And so I had to look at that. But I didn't know how to pronounce it for sure, so so that pronunciation guide helped me. And it's so anyway, so there are several, I don't know how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like 8 different folklores in here, folk tales from Ireland, and they're all pretty great. It's illustrated, kind of cool. It's kind of an interesting, let's see if I can find a good page that's got some cool pictures on it. But it's kind of cool the way they've done it. And the Niamh Sharkey is the illustrator. So anyway, if you want to learn some more about Irish folk tales and read some of their stories, this is a good one, I think, to start with, because it's definitely some that he was inspired by through childhood. So that's my other recommendation.
And that one's located in the St. Patrick's Day collection. So
yes,
you know where that one is.
Yes. It will be as soon as I take it back. So so those are kind of fun, because I love the Irish, just the folk tales and the whole sense of it. I've read a lot of books and novels that include the Fae and all of that fairy tradition, and it's really fascinating, different people's takes on it, first of all, and then just the tradition itself is kind of cool. So yeah, it's a good introduction to that. So Megan, I think you're our next one.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is actually her second book, published in, I think, 2018, and she was only 28 at the time. She's considered right now one of the foremost millennial authors, which probably sounds bad to some people, but it's a good thing, I think. And this book has actually been made into a Hulu series. So I think there's like 1 season. So she is an Irish author, and the story does take place in Ireland. And it's, I would say it's sort of a coming of age story that tells the story of Marianne and Connell. They're both teens in the beginning, attending the same high school. And Marianne's from a wealthy family. And Connell he's the son of like a single mom. And she's actually the cleaning woman for Marianne's family. So right away, there's, a class difference there. And even though Marianne is wealthy and seemingly, has it all, she really does not have a great family, a loving family, whereas Connell really does. And even though he has faced economic hardships, he has a really great mom. So Marianne's kind of, even though she's wealthy, she has a lot of problems, and she's sort of an outcast at school, whereas Connell is pretty popular, and he's sort of the star athlete. So they kind of meet each other at school, and also because of the mom working for the family, and they start a relationship, and there's always sort of that class issue in the way. And they're both kind of trying to figure out their place in the world, and who they are individually and who they are together. And it sort of follows them. I think it follows all 4 years of high school and into college, because they end up going to Trinity College, both of them, in Dublin. And they're sort of in and out of each other's lives through the whole thing. and trying to figure out like who they want to be, and do they want to be together? Is it okay if they're together? That kind of thing. And sort of comparing themselves to other people, which, is very common, I think, and trying to figure out what they want out of life. So I do have a quote from NPR, which I thought was really good, about Sally Rooney in this book. It says, her focus is on young adults as they struggle to navigate the minefields of intimacy against the backdrop of an economically uncertain post-recession world, threatened by climate change, political upheaval, and questions about the morality and viability of capitalism. So I like that it's sort of a modern romance. It's funny because there are references to like Facebook and texts and things. I feel like that's not something I see that much, but it's a modern romance, but it also does deal with all those, it's not just a romance. It deals with all the issues that young people are facing today, regardless of whether it's here or in Ireland or wherever. So it's really a smart romance, I think, and really brings in a lot of those struggles that I think a lot of people can relate to. So it's really good.
I think that's great. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot more of those, as new authors start emerging. We'll get to see some more modern tales. And the fact that it's talking about facing things that are happening now, that's kind of cool. And you get their perspective, because I think, we tend to pigeonhole, groups of people into stereotypes of what they are and what they aren't. And I think, obviously millennials and Gen X and all of them, they all have a different, where we boomers look down on them for some reason. It's not true, but not in my case, but, but that's what happens. And I think it's good to hear their voices, because you really might get an understanding of where they really are coming from. Because I think this is my opinion, but I think most of the boomer versus millennials thing is just, it's just based on stereotypes. It doesn't have any value in the real world. So I think it's important to really understand their voice. So that's great. I love that. So, wow. See, we have 3 different kinds of Irish authored books here. So that's really great. We've got the older, nice, gentle Patrick Taylor novels. We've got the kids with the folk tales and the folklore that comes from Ireland. And then we have this new modern take on people, millennials or whoever you want to call them. So this is good. And they're all at our library. So please come and check them out. I think I'd like that one, Megan. Yeah. Yeah, we can show our books. Here's mine. And my other one. All right. So we thank you for listening. Next week, we will be doing, I believe, DVDs or movies with female directors, I think is our plan for next week. So I look forward to that. So that's it. And we will see you hopefully at the library. Thanks. Bye.